guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you've all had a wonderful day. Today's video is a book video, so it is my update for July's reading. So I actually did pretty well, I'm not gonna lie. June was a complete flop, and if you watched my kind of June-May update video, I hit like a reading slump. It was really bad, but I think I've managed to claw it back in July. So yeah, we're just gonna get into it. So I'll go through the ones that I put on my TBR to read first, and then we'll kind of go on to what else I read, etc, etc. So the first one I had was sorry, Lynx is walking about. Yeah, so the first one I had was Vanessa Diffenbaugh's The Language of Flowers. Now I started it, I got about 3 chapters in, and I just didn't think it was for me, so I did DNF that one. That was a really quick DNF actually. Normally I let it get to like 100 pages, but I just thought this isn't going to be the one for me. I'm just going to let it go. So that one went. The next one I did read was Maxine Murray's My Year of Saying No. So I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars. Basically it follows Lottie, who has a year of really bad kind of experiences. So her friend convinces her to say yes to everything, and she kind of agrees for the year, and she doesn't enjoy it. So the following year she decides she's going to say no to everything that she doesn't want to do. And I think it's it does kind of give an important lesson in here that you shouldn't do stuff just to please everyone else. Even if, you know, it would make them happy, you have to do things that make yourself happy at the same time. So yeah, she decides she's going to say no to everything she doesn't want to do, and she has a crush on a client and friend called Seb, and it's kind of about how they work around her year of saying no. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I had a few issues with some of the storyline. There were parts where they had like an argument, and then they had another argument really quickly afterwards, and I struggled with that because I was like, oh, I feel like she's just chucking in another argument to then prove this point. But I spoke to Nikki about it, and she kind of gave me a different viewpoint. So that was quite interesting. So I would like to reread this at some point. So yeah, it was a good one. I enjoyed it. Next up on my list was Nicholas Sparks' Message in a Bottle. Now I started it, I've got about 2 chapters in, but it just wasn't kind of drawing me in. So it's still on my TBR shelf, and I will get to it. I think I'll just pick it up every now and again when I feel in the mood. But yeah, so I haven't finished that one. The next one I had was Anne Frank in the Secret Annex, Who Was Who. So this was a really short book. It was only like 170 pages. A lot of it was pictures, and I flew through this. I read it in a day. But it was really, really interesting. It was nice to kind of meet the other people in the annex with her. I gave it 3 stars. I do think there could have been a bit more around certain people, but it is difficult, obviously, given the situation of the people living in the annex. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really interesting read. Yeah, there's not much I can say on that one, to be fair, but there's that one. Right, then next up, I DNF'd these 2. So there was Ray Bradbury's Something Wicked This Way Comes. I just couldn't get on board with the style of language. So I got that chapter in and was like, I just don't think it's for me. So I have DNF'd that book. I have recently come across the audio version on Libby, so I might pick it up at some point, but it's not one I'm going to rush back to. So yeah, I did DNF it, and I'm not entirely sure what happened to the physical copy. I might have already donated it somewhere. But yeah, I just wasn't overly interested in it. The next one that was on my TBR list was this one. It's Sheila O'Flanagan's 3 Weddings and a Proposal. My friend lent me this. She moved away recently, and she lent me it so that we could keep in touch and sort of buddy read. But I just don't think this book is for me. I think there's going to be some kind of, I think it's a contemporary, but with a little bit of like what's the word? My brain is like absolute this evening. Um, yeah, I just don't think the storyline's going to be for me. It seems a little bit of contemporary, along with a little bit of kind of, um, you know, when you have a thriller that's not a detective one, it's the other one, and the name escapes me. But yeah, I just don't think this one's going to be for me. I read the back of it and I just thought it's not one that's drawing me in. So I'm going to give it back to her and we will buddy read another book at some point. But yeah, so that one just wasn't for me. So yeah, that was all the ones I'd had on my TBR to read. I actually read a few more than that. So I don't know if I actually spoke about this one in my June wrap up. I think I did finish it in June, but I think when I filmed the video, I hadn't quite finished it yet. But this one is Defy the Night by Bridget Kemmerer. It's kind of a reimagined Robin Hood, and I loved it, like obsessed. I already pre-ordered the second book, and it comes out next month in September, and I just loved it. I love the characters, I love the plot, the storyline. I just loved it. So basically, it follows Tessa, and she is basically there's a poison running through the kingdom, and she steals the cure to like distribute it to the poor people, and yeah, she kind of has to work alongside the king and the prince. And oh, it was just so good. I cannot describe how incredible this book was. I want to reread it immediately. But yeah, if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. I gave it 5 stars. If I could give it like 10, I would. It was incredible. I loved it. So there's that one. So what was the next one I read? The next one I read was A Girl Called Shameless by Laura Stephen. So this was actually on my June TBR and I didn't get to it. I gave it 3 stars. I didn't love it as much as the exact opposite over OK. I loved that book. I really enjoyed the storyline. And I just thought it was incredible. Whereas this one, I found it a little bit difficult to get into. I kept reading it the whole way through, and I wasn't like put off reading it. I kept picking it up and kept wanting to find out what was happening, but it just didn't draw me in as much as I was hoping it would. It was still funny, and I still liked where the book went, but I just preferred the first one. So yeah, there's that. Next up, I read The Sandman by Lars Kepler. So this one follows a serial killer who is in prison. He's serving a life sentence. And one of the victims that he supposedly took, is it 7 years ago? Yeah, that he supposedly took 7 years ago appears, and they have to try and discover whether it was the guy in prison or whether it was an accomplice or it's somebody different. It was, how many pages? It was 560 pages. And I think I got about 150 pages in, and I messaged Nikki and I was like, I just don't understand where this is going. Like, stuff's happening, but it's not happening. It was a very bizarre book, but I couldn't put it down. Like, when I messaged her and said, I think I'm just going to give up on it, she was like, oh, I'll give it a bit longer. Like, if it's a 500-page book, it might not get going until like 200, 250 pages. And I kept going. And even though I still wasn't really sure where it was going, I kept reading and I just couldn't put it down. I wanted to know what happened. And yeah, I finished it in 2 days, I think, which is incredible for nearly a 600-page book and me together. We just don't go. But I really enjoyed the reveal. I kind of saw it coming a little bit. I didn't quite see the reasons behind it all, but I did. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. My one issue is that the word nipple was mentioned so many times in this book. I think I could have got incredibly drunk if it was take a shot every time somebody says the word nipple. I don't know if I would read it again, but it was a good read and yeah, I enjoyed it. So there was that. I think I gave it 3 stars. Oh no, I gave it 4. Impressive. Yeah, I thought it was good. It just wasn't, yeah, I don't know. There was something about it I didn't love, but it was okay. I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars, so I obviously enjoyed it. Then the next ones I read were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I read 5 of the MC Beaton Agatha Raisin books. So Agatha Raisin is an old PR representative. She sells her business and retires early to move to the Cotswolds. And there she enters herself into a quiche baking competition, and the judge of the quiche competition dies. And at first she's a suspect, and then she goes on to solve the murder. And basically it's 5 books of different murders happening in the village that she gets involved with and solves. And yeah, I've read 5 of them this month. I'm pretty impressed with myself, I'm not gonna lie. They're about 250 to 300 pages each, and I've been flying through them. So I did have the book set of 20 of them. I think there's 30. And I had the book set, and I just never picked them up. And then I was thinking about it, and I was like, maybe I should just get rid of the physical set. And I had a little look on my local library app, which is Libby for me, and they had all 30 books on there. So I was like, okay, well, based on my kind of history of detective novels, I don't tend to keep them after I've read them, unless they're like a sentimental kind of book or something like that. And I thought, as much as I will probably enjoy them, I don't think I'm going to want to keep this 20 books. Plus, I would then have to buy the other 14 to complete the set. So I decided to declutter the 20 physical books and just read them on Libby, and I've been flying through them. So I've actually already started the 6th book in the series, but obviously I haven't finished it, so I can't tell you about it. But yeah, so the first one I read was The Quiche of Death, Vicious Vet, Potted Gardener, Walkers of Dembley, and Murderous Marriage. I gave them all between 3 and 4 stars. But yeah, they're just really nice to have as an ebook on my phone, that, you know, if I'm sat in the doctor's surgery, I don't have to worry about trying to get a book out and shove it away again. I can just flick to it on my phone. You know, if I'm at work early and I'm sat in the car waiting, and then it's really handy to have. And I've got 34 books worth. So yeah, I didn't anticipate getting through them as quickly as I did, if I'm honest, but they're such a quick and easy read. And because they're only sort of 250, 300 pages, I get through them pretty fast, and I just want to find out who did it. So yeah, it's been a really good reading month for me. I did put, I think, the 2nd book, Vicious Vet, on my TBR for August, but obviously I've already read it, so spoiler. But yeah, so they're all the books I read this month. How many is that altogether? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so I read 9 books this month, which is pretty impressive considering June was a bit of a flop, May was a bit of a flop. Yeah, they just weren't good reading months, but I think I've come back and I've done pretty well. I'm actually pretty proud of myself. And I'm glad that I managed to get rid of 20 physical books, but still be able to consume them in a different format. That's been really nice for me, and it makes me feel better about the amount of books on my shelves. So yeah, I think I've done pretty well. Obviously, as I said, I have read one of August's ones already, so yeah, you've got that little spoiler, but I think August we're going to do pretty well as well. So yes, that's everything I read this month. If you've read any of them, let me know your thoughts. And yeah, take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.